In this video, I'll demonstrate the important elements in the visualization task of the competition. So our instructions say create a representation of the federated architectural project information model for marketing purposes. So we're being asked to create one exterior view, one interior view, and one short animation where we're being asked to move the camera either vertically or horizontally. And once we've done each of them, we have to save each to the shared directory with their status codes to be review and comment. So there's quite a lot of information in this. A lot of people get hung up on the last part, which is use of composition, lighting and background should all be considered. But really it is a BIM competition. So really we're looking at things like, have you named it correctly? So it's still following on with naming conventions, etc. So back to your BEP, it's project numbers, originators, what volume is it, level, etc. So it's still back to that. We also want to look at things like uniclass classification this time. If we look at uniclass tables for CAD, it's 7090, which is visualizations. And again, if we even come into ISO 19650, there are animation files, is where I'm going to use animation file in its name if it's an animation, or if I scroll down, VS for visualization. So just so you know where I'm finding this stuff, it's exactly the same place as always. And then we can come back to here, and there's those uniclass tables. So again, I've got a space in BIM 360 created here. And I'm being asked to put the files into this project, into shared, for review and comment, etc. So I can scroll across here and see where we still got uniclass information for this file. We could actually go and edit and put the uniclass information in, and this one was being shared for coordination, for example. So we're being asked this time to upload and create some files. So the first thing is, let's actually go back and open up the files. So the instruction was a federated, so up to this point basically we will have a federated model created. So if I jump into 3D for the first model, so we can see one of the volumes, there's a large opening in here where we were still to insert Revit link. And I'll go and find the other volume of that. So the volume we had opened was volume 1, and now I'm looking to insert volume 2. And we'll just click and select that. It's saying there are nested links, that's fine. We don't need to worry about the nested links. So both volumes marry up to each other, that works fine. One of the other elements in here, one of the other descriptions, a landscape file has been made available to you in the published directory. If you want to use it, you're more than welcome to use it. I've already downloaded that. So it's called landscaping, and I'll just actually insert it. Now it's purely visuals. There is, for this file, there is no link between the two. It's not linked up to Origin or anything. So all I'm going to do for this one is actually just move it and just visually align them so that it looks like it could be sat in close proximity to where it actually might sit. So there we go. If you're told to bring them in and match them up project to project, project base point to project base point, etc., origin to origin, then obviously do that. So what I'm being asked to do firstly was, let's create one external view, one internal view, and one short animation. So if we just look at something like, we do have Enscape within here. So what I'll do is I'll create just a couple of little views using camera. And I'm just going to click roughly out in this area out here, point the camera to where I want it to be. Obviously, just basic kind of Revit knowledge. If I click here, then that's as far as the camera sees. So let's just go all the way through the scene and click. And we get the camera set up. There we go. Again, within Revit, we can use just the orbit commands if we want to go and modify them. I'll go and create another one let's create another camera view for later on. I'm just going to click down about this area here and all the way through here. So I'm already thinking about what I want to do for that short animation, for example, that's maybe here. A nice little pan across the building, either vertically or horizontally from this point. So looking at Inkscape, so we've got that 3D view 1. For example, if we just click start at this point, that will open up. It takes a little moment. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just dock Inkscape window on the right hand side and then choose Revit as the other side. It means that I can use within here, we can use just the regular commands, just looking left, right, up, down, orbit, for example, wherever you put your mouse. If we put the mouse on the building, then we will orbit the building. If we put the mouse on that tree, then we'll orbit the tree. Let's just look for a nice little low down shot where we can maybe get some reflection on the water of the building. Holding in shift and the right mouse button allows us to change the lighting. So some of the features that we were asked, if we look at use of composition, lighting, background, etc. So let's utilize that. We'll say, let's bring that back up again. Maybe we'll do 3D view back into here. Holding in shift and then the right mouse button, just editing the time of day to something that we think might look appealing. So just visually appealing. There we go. So let's say that we are happy with that. Some of the other things we can look at might be in settings. We can say, well, let's check visual settings. There we go. So visual settings this time. And we'll pop that window back in. So we can look at things like the image. We can look at contrast. We can look at illumination, how we capture the image and what resolution that might be, etc. So again, let's just dock that back in the window. There we go. So looking at things like auto exposure. So what your judges are looking for is that the image isn't overly exposed or underexposed. So you can take control of that, or you can leave it on auto exposure. Just if you feel yourself that you might want to tweak that, then by all means switch that to auto exposure to manual exposure, so you can control that. Also the same with your focal points. So if we look at this line that's popping up, it's looking at a focal point. Now both of these together, if you look at your field of view and your focal points, kind of work hand in hand. And then when we look at atmosphere, so if I bring this up, we will see in the background we have a whole bunch of white cubes or forest or mountains, etc. construction site. You again just choose what you feel is most appropriate. Okay, so back to 3D view 1, that's pretty well set up. I'm just going to bring that possibly in a little bit more. Zooming in to the building. And I think I can control the light a little bit. Let's bring a little bit more light into this scene underneath the trees. There we go. So that one shot is ready. And I'm happy with composition, I'm happy with lighting, etc. And what we can say is then just let's render image. So if I pop back, let's minimize that and go into Revit. We can say render the image. Now we can render the image. Here you see an option, render it into the document. So that will save it as a view. We want to render it because we want to upload it into BIM 360. So we'll take that view and we'll just say render. Go and select folders. So pictures is fine. Possibly we'll just put that into downloads just now. and it will render that image out. So let's go and have a look for that. So in it downloads, there's that PNG file. What we need to do is rename that. So we have a WSUK19 dash your originator. So in this case, I am NCL, so New College Lanarkshire. Then we can look at which volume is it. Well, it's not split up by volume. What level is it? It is not split up by level. And then what type of file is it? So we looked at that as a visualization file. Who is it for? It's for all disciplines. Then this is going to be 0001, and then we can put in a description of that in here. So what is it? Where is it looking from, etc. So let's even just say that it might be the main entrance from garden, for example. Okay, so that file has been saved with project number, originator, etc. And we want to then upload that to BIM 360. So if we look at BIM 360, and then we can upload that file into shared. Let's just do a drag and drop. And once it's coming up, we can say Uniclass. So we had ZZ, it was from the CAD table. And it was 70_90, which was our visualization files. And this was for, if we remember back to here, let's go down to our status codes. Let's go up to status codes. There we go. Suitable for review and comment. And that's what we were being asked to do, was save each to the shared directory for review and comment. Perfect. So that'll be in BIM 360 then. So next, again, if this time we go to our second view of that, and then switch on the video editor. So again, I'm just going to pan this across and lock it into place. Much better when you've got two monitors. So what I can say here is just add keyframe. So the first thing I do is if I add a keyframe, I can then move vertically. Let's move the camera up, holding in E. So if you've been using Enscape for a while, this will be simple to you. Then say add another keyframe. So here we can adjust the timeline in that, whether that's going to take maybe a couple of seconds. Now if we go really quickly and say 3 seconds, what does it look like? Preview. There's what that will look like. And again, if we just come into here, we can look at just render video. So if you're happy with that, you can click the render video button, and again, just make sure you name it appropriately before you upload that. If I just cancel that just now though, what we can do is we can say let's remove all. I'll move the camera back down. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's maybe pick this middle floor. Come across and say add keyframe. So now we've got one of our keyframes in. Let's move across. We can see that car through the window. Add keyframe. And let's even choose something like about 10 seconds for that. So how does that look? Really nice and slow. Perfect. So it moved about the same distance. It took about 10 seconds longer. So I'm happy then to just render that out. So if we say render out the video and then we name it appropriately, I've already done one. If you just keep that name, that's fine. But when you come into here, then you need to make sure that you rename that. So it's going to be, what we can do is we can rename it as WSUK19-NCL. And again, it's no volumes. It's no levels. This time it's an animation file. It's for all disciplines, and that's the first time that we're using that naming. So we can go back in and just put in our description of whatever that might be as an animation file. and then just drag and drop, upload that into BIM 360. And again, once that's in BIM 360, we can say it's coming from the CAD table 70/90 and S3 for review and comment.